Coming to you from the Fort Wayne Farm Show. I have a very special guest that actually surprised me when I was walking through the trade show. I have Mary Marsh Heigele. Many of you have heard her because she was interviewed earlier on a podcast. But Mary is here representing her company that she works for in north central Kansas. So Mary, can you give us a little bit of an idea why you're at the Fort Wayne Farm Show so far away from the plains of Kansas?
Yeah, so New Ag Supply is really unique in we ship all over the country. My boss, Brian Seeker, has had a lot of experience selling parts and visiting farmers from all across America. So it's really nice that we get to come out to Indiana, get to know some of the locals out here, and being so close to Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio just makes it even better. And it's worthwhile coming out here and getting to know the locals.
So putting my farmer hat on, Mary and I were talking last spring about getting some GBGI opening discs for our Kinsey and White planter. They didn't have the supply to ship me, but it was nice to know that that's an option outside of what we have available locally. So how far do you really ship out of Kansas?
We'll ship all over the place. We're just down to Alaska and Hawaii for places we're missing out. So if anyone's from Alaska or Hawaii, we might even personally deliver those parts. So subtle messaging there.
You work on the social media side and the graphic design. How easy would it be to put a personal delivery to Hawaii on the website for the ordering?
Super duper easy.
There you go. Well, Mary, the thing that I'd like to ask you about, you're now here in the Eastern Corn Belt. You live in Kansas, which is either considered a corn state or not a corn state, depending on how much corn they plant, and you're from California originally. So in the last month and a half, you've seen agriculture all across the country. What is people's attitudes?
You know, you hate to admit it, but farmers are pretty good at complaining. So all across the board, it's relatively negative, but there's a lot of opportunities to be optimistic. For instance, for New Ag Supply, we sell replacement parts. So we're out here, my boss is a farmer, I'm a farmer, so we understand what it means to try and keep your planter running like new longer. And so that makes us feel really good, is that we're helping guys not just make their planters work, but work for them and work really well. And so that's been a really good opportunity for us. No matter where you go, well, and my husband and I were fortunate enough to have cattle, and so those are doing okay this year. Usually it's not so much. So that's a good opportunity to be optimistic about agriculture. So it's hard to stay positive during really bad prices, but at the end of the day, would you rather be sitting behind a desk? Probably not.
I think that would apply to 95% of my listeners. They don't want to be behind a desk. And when I mentioned that you've been across the country, your family has almonds, and that's a direct-to-consumer type of product. Your husband and you raise wheat, corn. Some of that goes to the cattle, but that's a commodity product. But you also participate in direct-to-consumer with your cattle business. So as we take a step back away from the negativity that we see in row crop production because of the prices, how do you think your customers on the direct-to-consumer side, what do they think about agriculture? And do they think it's tough for us? Do they appreciate buying direct from consumer?
Yeah, so quite a few people who we sell beef to, they might just have row crops and they don't have cattle, and they're pretty happy to not have to deal with it. I mean, when we're loading cows in negative 11-degree weather, it's easy to look at Snapchat and go, oh, thank gosh, we're not out there doing that. But it's also, and like we're talking about being optimistic and opportunities, we have a great marketing opportunity because our cattle are eating our own corn. So even though you go to the elevator and not getting a very good price, we have another opportunity to use our corn for something else. And I think that's just huge. And to bring it up to a bigger scale, I think it's a great example for other people. The more marketing opportunities for our commodities, the better. So trade, baby, trade, no matter how. I don't care how you're using your corn, just as long as you're buying United States corn. So I don't know if that gets too far off into the weeds, but...
No, I think about when Hayden and I were talking about direct to consumer and what we were doing on our farm, and he said, just try it. Just do it. And I think it's a cliche when we say think outside the box. And in the box that we have here in Northeast Indiana right now at the Fort Wayne Farm Show is corn, soybeans, and wheat. But what can you do on your farm that is outside that box, that pro box, that you might be able to add some income or diversify on your farm? So as you talk to customers, what are some of those things that might be outside the norm that would be thinking outside the box?
I'm so glad that the cover crop trend has been taking off, because it is a good opportunity for guys to open their minds if they can see something else that they can plant out there and it grows and it's just something outside of the ordinary. That's awesome. Anything to get your mind to open up to what else your ground can do. There's no, just because I'm from California, and obviously if you can dream it, you can grow it out there. Some of that same kind of mentality can end up here in Indiana, or take it anywhere else in the Midwest. And so I think cover crops is just one step towards that. And so you just think about, okay, what kind of crops are growing in my blend? What are those are related to? Can we try that? Can we do something similar? And just get funky with it. Make your neighbors scratch their head.
Diversification is what you're talking about. And I think one of the things that we fail to think about when we think about diversification, we put blinders on, we think about the farm. I can't do cattle because the fences are gone. I can't do cover crops because it's too late in the year. But what are some of the other things? And can you speak specifically about what you're doing on your farm to diversify?
Yeah, so we have a couple, my husband and I were really big into the cover crop end of things. I'm sure we live half a mile from my in-laws, so I'm sure it makes them scratch their heads on some of the things we plant out there. But, we have a lot of dreams about maybe getting into different kinds of livestock. We've even looked into doing chickens from a larger scale than just backyard. I'm a little bit of a harder sell on that than my husband is, but we're getting there. So we have a few plans, nothing set in stone really, but we also have a great clean slate. Our farm needs a little bit of infrastructure updates. And so the sky's the limit for us too. All we have to do is pick and choose, and I'm notorious for getting started on projects and not finishing them. So that's half of what's limiting us on our diversification option. But there's so much, and there's more going on in everyone's backyards than they know about. The more we've started talking to other people and seeing what they've been doing diversification wise, it's been amazing. There's a lot of people doing some great things, and it's just really inspiring. So get out, talk to your neighbors, ask a lot of questions, and maybe there's an opportunity out there for you that you just wouldn't think about normally.
Well, you can tell that I didn't coach Mary beforehand because she didn't answer the way I wanted her to. So one of the biases that I have, and a lot of my listeners have heard me say before, I think off-farm income is just another diversification stream on a farm. Mary, your diversification stream deals with a camera. Can you describe what you're doing and how you're diversifying your family's income with a camera?
Yeah, so apart from my job here at New Ag Supply, where I do a lot of photos and videos for social media, I also do weddings, I do seniors, I do families, I do harvests and brandings too. Whatever you want photographed, I'll come on out with my camera. And so it's been a great opportunity. My husband's utilized my video and photo services for some of our direct-to-consumer beef. And I have a pretty big ego, so I love seeing my photos being used for a nice steak shot or anything like that. And so that's been really helping us out, not just with my wedding photography, but utilizing my skills to help my husband get our beef out there, improve our marketing in that front. So photography and videography has been a huge asset for us. And not only is, when I was a little kid, I told my mom I wanted to be an artist. And instead of saying no, she said, well, make it pay. So this is how I make being an artist pay.
Well, great. And I think your discussion about your photography business opens that box up. So we're thinking outside the box. So it's thinking outside the farm. So Mary, how can we get a hold of Ag Tech Supply, and how can we maybe place some orders and get some of that stuff shipped to us?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great online presence. So if you go to newagsupply.com, you can see our lineup of great vendors that we deal with. You can also call us 620-938-7009, and you can get a hold of us there. So via online, via phone, and of course, find us on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, the works.
Well, Mary, you were the highlight of the Fort Wayne Farm Show for me. Thank you for spending some time with us, and good luck with you and Hayden and your diversified operation.